Peter Pan by J.R. Barrie, Chapter 1. The Darling Family. Their last name was Darling, and it suited them perfectly. The father, George, met and fell in love with his wife when both were very young. They had a fairy tale wedding. Mrs. Darling was a beautiful bride in a long white dress, and Mr. Darling was a handsome groom. They had 3 children, Wendy, John, and Michael. The parents were very devoted to their daughter and sons, but Mr. Darling worried constantly about the family budget and the cost of such basic items as milk. All of the families in their London neighborhood hired nurses for their children. The Darlings, who didn't have much money, hired a special kind of nurse, a large dog named Nana. She performed her duties quite as well as any human nanny. She bathed and dressed the children, tended to them if they woke crying in the night, and walked alongside them to school, keeping them safe when they crossed streets. She even carried an umbrella in her mouth so that they would stay dry in case of rain. When Nana tucked Wendy, John, and Michael into bed, she always left the nightlight on because the children were frightened of the approaching Neverland. Each child had a different picture of this place and the things that happened there, and in fact, it didn't seem scary. It was just that the children had an uneasy feeling of losing control of their surroundings and drifting off to that dream world where anything might happen. Since all 3 children belonged to the same family, their dreams of the Neverland were a lot alike. Peter Pan appeared in all of them, but seemed especially real to Wendy. Even Mrs. Darling, thinking back to her childhood, could remember a character called Peter Pan who was believed to live in fairyland. "Surely Peter Pan is all grown up by now," Mrs. Darling joked with her daughter. "No, Mommy, he will never grow up. In fact, he is just about my size," Wendy replied. Her father pooh-poohed the whole idea of Peter Pan. "Nana probably put the whole idea into the children's head," he told his wife. "Dogs have such ideas. Don't worry about Wendy. She'll forget about Peter Pan soon enough." But Peter Pan would not let them forget him. In fact, he appeared at the Darlings' house that very night. "Look, he forgot to wipe his feet, and there are leaves on the floor," Wendy remarked to her mother the next morning. "Who are you talking about?" Mrs. Darling asked. "Peter Pan, of course." "But how could he get into the house without knocking?" asked her mother, trying to play along with Wendy. "The door is always locked." "He came in through the window. You can see the leaves are next to the window." Mrs. Darling could not bring herself to tell Wendy that it was all a dream. After her daughter went downstairs for breakfast, she even examined some of the leaves. They didn't look at all like the ones that grew on the trees next to the house.